So I wanted to wind up this series of talks by just reflecting on my own experience in terms of what my expectations were when I went to that to my mother's bedside, and to talk about, with some humility, about the power of the death scene itself. And this is also informed in the late 80s and early 90s. I was doing a fair amount of healing work with the AIDS community, and so I was very fortunate to be in relationship with a number of people as they were dying at the time of their death. And what was very obvious is that there comes a moment when all of these causes and conditions that have been set into motion so long ago are going to play out. Every person there is a condition, but nobody can control it. Nobody can run it. You can only manage it as well as you can, and it will unfold as causes and conditions have brought it about. That's just the way it is. So now I knew this in the back of my mind, and yet here's the phone call. We don't know how bad the injury is. I just decided with help from the community that it would be time to go. And I had an idea that I would be able, because when I ordained, my mother said, okay, I won't have the same contact with you, but promise me that when I'm dying, you will be there, that you will come and you will do your prayers and things for me. Okay, this may be the time. I made a promise, I have to go. And so that was my idea. I'm going to do prayers with my mom, we're going to chant, I'm going to maybe read psalms to her if that's what she wants. Well, I get there and she's not conscious. I get there and she is never going to get conscious. So all my nice plans or my thoughts about how I'm going to support and be this spiritual guide, and like, forget it. So okay, so I can go to the side of the bed, I can at least chant and make prayers, or I can, put a soothing touch. My mother was a great one for holding hands. Well, it turns out that just the sound of my voice over her bed would bring on myoclonic seizures. The brain was so injured that even that kind of stimulus was more irritating. It was not helpful. So my great ideas about, oh yeah, I'm going to go help my mother had to be changed. So I could, from a distance, do my practices out loud. I could do my prayers out loud. And that was good. But then I also had, this is how you're supposed to die, right? The room should be quiet. The room should be very peaceful. There shouldn't be people crying or anything like that. So I communicated this to my family. And I will say, as far as the understanding that clinging would not be helpful, everybody really got it and respected that completely. And I appreciate that a lot. But as far as not touching the person, forget it. And because everybody in the hospital was very supportive of our family, we broke all the rules about how many people could be in the room at one time. You're only supposed to have 2, and sometimes we'd have 5. And what are we talking about? We're talking about our cell phones. We're talking about the things you would do if mom was in the kitchen preparing lunch if the family got together. Same thing. She just happens to be in bed on a respirator. I mean, the sound I think all will hear for the rest of my life, but the same thing. So here is little Buddhist nun trying to make this holy environment. So I had to go to the I went out to the parking lot, but I had to leave often just to, first of all, check in with my own mind, that I didn't get slipped into my role in the family. I didn't, that I just had to come back into my practices repeatedly. And then I had to go into the waiting room one morning and say to myself, look, this is not your death. You don't get to plan it. Even though you're the oldest, you don't get to run it. You can give what you can give, and that is it. Everybody is here out of their love and care for mom. Stop it. So I'm saying this because I think it's easy to listen to, read the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, look at all the great things, things that would make an environment helpful, and then we have to go with what's there. So shortly after that little talking to, I did go back into the room and I interrupted the conversation. I said, okay, everybody around the bed. Mac, say your prayer. Don, say your prayer. I did my prayer. My sister pointed my sister, do your prayer. She said, I don't know what to pray. I said, say she was a great mom. That's what we're supposed to say to her. So we had our moment. That was it. That's all I got. And it was fine. So this myth of the good death, it was very popular in the 90s. I don't know if it's still around, but the myth of a right way to die, a good way to die, the way that everybody should behave, will just make us sick and crazy. And it doesn't help. The conditions have been set in motion so long ago, we're part of it. So we can bring what we can. We can influence in the way that we can, and that's what we can do. Stephen Levine tells the story about the Thai meditation master who lived as though the glass was already broken. A student asked him, in this world where everything changes and there's nothing to hang on to, how do you have any hope? This is kind of depressing. And the meditation master says, if this glass is already broken, in my mind it's already broken. I can enjoy it, I can appreciate it, I can see its beauty, but knowing that it's already broken, I cherish it in a way that makes it precious. And when my elbow hits it and it shatters to the floor, I think, of course. And that's it. He said, if we live with the awareness that our loved ones are already broken, that we are already broken, then we really cherish the time that we have with them. And our priorities get really clear. The meaningless affairs of this life are no longer plaguing us. The little hurts, the little ego bends and dents and things no longer have any importance because we realize that we are already broken. It is already broken. The people around us are already broken. And while we have it, we cherish what we have. He says, when we realize if our only spiritual practice were to live as though we were already dead, relating to all we meet, to all we do, as though it were our final moments in the world, what time would there be for old games, or falsehoods, or posturing? Only love would be appropriate. Only the truth. So we look at our losses in our life. Loss of a loved one, loss of our job, loss of our youth, loss of our beauty, loss. We're losing every day. Every single day we're losing something. I am of the nature to age. I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken. I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die. I have not gone beyond dying. All that is mine, beloved, and pleasing will become otherwise, will be separated from me. And then I am the heir of my karma. And so, it's very precious to think about our losses every day, to live as though our life is already broken, as though our glass is already broken, and to celebrate, rejoice what we have had with one another, and be prepared. So, thank you.